What it is, everybody. Or if there's anybody here, something strange happened to my channel. It seemed like yesterday when I made a video praising the creation, and suddenly the traffic on my channel dropped to almost zero. It's very unusual. But today we have news that everyone can share. This is universal. And we can try to connect it to prophecies about the end times, because I believe we're here. In fact, I may have other things to tell you. So this could be very exciting. We can try to recognize whether today is cosmically significant or significant to certain cultures, or if the numbers, or we'll see, like, was today something significant? Did something significant happen today? The market's really crashed. I've been researching other things. So actually, until 30 minutes before the show, I had no idea what I was doing. I thought I maybe wouldn't do a show at all. But then I was like, and it was what was it? I like starting it at specific times that have good numbers, if possible. So I was going to start at 4:20 my time. And I decided to do a show. I have to set the show at least 30 minutes in advance so you get a notification. I decided to do the show like 32 minutes before 32 minutes before I started. So anyway, sorry I'm a little late. Good to see you guys. See, people already know. Jackie D, amen. You know what they'll do. They'll end the world. They would rather, well, that's all. They would rather the world ends than their secrets come out. That's absolutely the truth. And actually, you must think to yourself, do you have secrets that if everybody knew them, or everybody could, like, what would you think? Would you want to continue to exist knowing that possibility is in the future? Or would you want to do something before that time comes? Because I am here to tell you, the time is at hand. So anyway, let's see what's going on. Today's date. We'll start with that. Today's date. Did a very interesting show yesterday. I'm having revelations. I'm glad to report, praise this creation. It is so wonderful here. I regret ever thinking that I didn't want to be here anymore at all. I regret that, which was until very recently. Now I would like to live amongst you. I feel much better. And the stock market crashing and Bitcoin crashing, boop. That is good news. That is the gospel today. The more Bitcoin goes down, my mind is better. Now when the price falls, what's the matter? The creators removed doubt from my mind about certain things. And now I'm not concerned about the short-term movement of assets, which I know will be valuable in my old age 800 years from now. Sumi. Oh, the bell. Yes, I understand, Sumi. Thank you. Sumi, you are so good. You want to be on camera? You want to be on camera? It's a spell. We're going to do a spell, Sumi. But it requires that you be on camera. Okay? Hey, everybody. Hey, make sure Nathan gets some super chats today. Or whatever you feel like. Actually, don't even think about it. Sumi! Poor Sumi. We hope that Sumi also may live forever. Yeah, these bug-eyed dogs. Man, these bug-eyed dogs. If nature, we do not respect nature in many ways, particularly in how we breed our companions to be cute rather than functional. You know, like it would make sense for us to have a more functional dog. Like if we all had Labradoodles, it'd be kind of like, it'd make more sense than the current setup where we buy dogs that are just sick their whole lives because they're not meant to exist here. Like, what, English bulldogs, for example, or French bulldogs, which can't reproduce on their own. I mean, that's a sign, I think. I think that's a sign. Once you no longer can reproduce without assistance from a higher power, then maybe there's a lesson there. Prague, yes, the Lord has given me wisdom. Thank God. I'm now very happy when things go down because I own the right things. That's all. Because I don't even have. Oh no, I do have some stocks, but actually they're Bitcoin stocks pretty much, and they're going way down. So yeah, MicroStrategy will probably be a very good buy. But shit could go down more. I have no idea. Shit, man. I was predicting a stock. This is why I thought I was just retarded, basically. Like I'm a broken machine. I came here perfect with this brilliant facility here. And I fucked it all up. I'm here to tell you, I have been saved. And now I see much more clearly. There are it's quite simple. However, the veil that has been placed here by my father is there for a reason, and then things become evident at the right time to the right people. So many people received their revelation about Bitcoin previous to Nathan Stoltman. Many people did. But now I understand. Well, because it led, just like the quest, actually, the understanding Bitcoin, just the quest, seeking to understand Bitcoin, that is seeking to know more about God's creation, the wonders of God's creation. And my father loves that shit more than me. But now I get it. But I've been arguing with my father for some time. But I think we've resolved things. Hopefully. But yeah, Bitcoin, it's very simple. Money exists in many forms. It has over time. People don't understand the meaning of eternity. People don't understand the meaning of eternity. We live extremely short lives, and our memories are not reliable in any sense. And then they're just not that good. We don't study our own histories and so forth. We are meant to study cycles throughout time to act. Well, I don't know if we're meant to actually. The rules here were pretty strict, but some people did. And that's why a lot of people figure it out. or some people who are involved in money, they live a long time because they understand. Some of those people, they understand. Stephanie Hugs. I don't really drink much. No, I'm not. I'm not even enhanced. And anyway, I think I forgot to take any cannabis or anything before this show. I've been granted special abilities. I have just a natural high. That's all. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just having a good day. That's all. Which actually, stock market's crashing. The end of the world. I welcome it. All right, would you like me to be more serious? I will. Okay. Thank you for being here. I'm reporting to you that the stock market is crashing. I have not looked into it much yet. Maybe we'll have to research it together. That's all. So, all right. Here we go. Show's going to start.
Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. I bring you the news, the real news.
All right. I'm doing some research. Let's see if we can find some good news stories about it. Yeah. I could say regarding Bitcoin, being serious, and I apologize for earlier. I don't mean to offend. None of us do. Regarding assets and money, it's not complicated. It's just that over time, I've noticed it just in my short lifetime, that certain things always seem to happen. It's always the same. Just for one example, government shutdowns and debt ceiling. Just as simple examples. Government shutdown threats and debt ceiling arguments. Okay, they happen. It seems like every year. It seems like. And it is just in my experience in my lifetime, from what I recall, it seems like every single time the same thing happens. The news says, oh my God, what if there's a government shutdown or a debt ceiling that is unresolved? Here are the possible consequences. And they'll tell you, they'll be like, this is what happens. And it's like, you start to know, I was born a little autistic. So you just see patterns and stuff. And over time, I was like, well, this happens every single time. And every single time there's some kind of hullabaloo, the stock market crashes, like every time the same shit happens. And every time it gets resolved. And then miraculously, everything recovers. I mean, it's one of those things where certain things happen and I would want to confirm like my beliefs and my memory and kind of actually look over history to see if that is indeed the pattern. But like, if you know you have a good asset that goes up over the long term, then if you know this, you have to have faith, basically. This program does require faith to make it a lot easier. So having faith in different things about the creation is helpful. Like what Michael Saylor has about Bitcoin that is so unusual is that he's 100% committed. I mean, he's a zealot. Okay. He's like mortgage in some ways, I got mad at him because he said you should borrow to buy Bitcoin. And I kind of took a loan against my Bitcoin. What was like $60K, a very small loan. It literally could have gone down to, I think, $12,000, the price of Bitcoin. And I still would have been okay before it was liquidated. But I got so scared when it got close to that, and my emotions took hold of me, and I did not want to lose the Bitcoin. So I ended up losing about half of my cryptocurrency because of that incident. So, which is why I'll say to you, be careful how you borrow to buy crypto, or just borrow instead of selling cryptocurrency, which is what you do not want to do with the good ones, the ones that aren't just for the short term. You do not want to sell those ever. If you start to think over longer time cycles, and think about your bloodline, actually, and those who will come after you, because a little bit, once you consider the concept of, first of all, eternity, which pondering it is one thing, but being walked through the experience of it is a totally different thing. But once you understand that, and the importance of your progeny and your family, then you start to think a bit more in the long term. So buying a little now might seem like you're never going to get anywhere. If somebody says, oh, just start buying a little, you might think, oh my God, well, Bitcoin's $100,000. What does it matter if I buy $10 a month? Because that's all I can afford. Like, what's the difference? I'm never going to get anywhere with it anyway. What's $10, etc. Okay. And then use your tools. You can use your tools. AI truly is a blessing. I mean, although any kind of hidden knowledge, I understand if you associate it to the fallen angel known as Lucifer. But if the tools are useful and you are a good person, then you do not have to worry about the demons inside the AI. Some people are concerned in a righteous way about the advance of technology all the time. That's a very godly concern. So being concerned, it's a good thing for everyone else. You might be biases that may prevent you may not adopt technology that you later find incredibly useful because of that, where other people who are less risk averse, but using the technology to research things is interesting. Okay, I'll just ask, given the historical performance of Bitcoin and extrapolating out into the future, what is a hypothetical range for the price of $10 of Bitcoin bought today in the year, let's think in the not too far future, the year of the end of a major cycle and the coming of perhaps the Messiah or the Maitreya Buddha, the year 2100. That's not far away at all. 2100. That's short term. It's good to expand your horizons. So if you bought $10 today, what would it be worth in 70 years? Okay, they're figuring it out. CAGR about 22% a year, compounding. $10 buys. Oh, okay, this is good because the price is almost a round number. Oh, no, please use today's price, or please use 80K per Bitcoin today, as that is closer to the current. It's nice to be nice to the AI. Okay, I'll see if I can answer. 75 years. 75 years. Good. 75 years. Optimistic is 10% annually. 10%. One Bitcoin at 10% per year, which it's going up faster than that. But I guess and they consider this optimistic. What is CAGR? It says 10% CAGR. Yeah, 10% annually. Okay. What do you guess in 75 years, $10 worth of Bitcoin would be worth if it goes up 10% a year? I can't see how this is correct, but what would you guess? Just $10. Just to share, just to see. It's an exercise. If you held on to it the whole time and never sold any, which is the hard part. What would one Bitcoin be worth? And what would $10 of Bitcoin be worth? Mimsy says, okay, 750,000, is that the price of Bitcoin or the price of or what the $10 would be worth? I'll tell you if it's too high or too low. That is way too high, kind of way too high. Just by a order of magnitude. An order of magnitude too high. But it come down an order of magnitude and try again. See what you think. Per Bitcoin, or what the $10 is. Do you want me to tell you what the price per Bitcoin is projected to be? If it just goes up 10% a year, I'll tell you that. If the price of Bitcoin goes up 10% a year on average until the year 2100, it'll be worth $139,920,000 per Bitcoin. Orange. This is problematic. This is problematic for your progeny, for your legacy. If you assume, that's all. Just you can't assume you know the future, even if you've been given revelation. Because it's very clear that we do not know the day or hour. But we're not meant to, ever. Even though we kind of know, we figure out patterns and stuff, we don't know exactly. So I plan to be here. I plan to be here, walking this earth in that year. We're going to have many cures. The future is brilliant. That's only 75 years. $10. That does not So $10 would be worth $17,490. You could buy gold too. Gold is safer. So the short-term stuff, it's if it goes down, you should always just be acquiring. You should just always, you need to always take some of your money and set it in like at all times, pretty much. That's prudent. It just doesn't need to be a large amount. That's all. And cryptocurrency came along. It's really nice. If you think about it, it is very democratic. It's very egalitarian. And it's bottom up. It didn't start with the elite, which it's a very unique kind of money. It allows you, the peasant, I mean, we are the peasants here, to be first and actually make money off of our overlords. It's like a cosmic retribution. The invention of this technology, it really is. It's an overthrow. And the guy whoever invented it, who was either getting information from the future or may have been here from the future. The person who invented it knew the significance. He must have known from very early on what the significance of his concepts meant. And that's kind of like a form of prophecy. I mean, really, to understand, and because you have to override a lot of other human instincts, like pride and greed in particular. You have to completely, pretty much, override your greed and just recognition. Like most of us do seek recognition, similar to our creator. I mean, we're not much different. We like to be praised for our creations. Like we really get a lot out of that. And if we don't, then sometimes we don't feel like fulfilled. So this individual or this entity who programmed this, who invented this technology, or this group of individuals, or the government, they knew the significance in advance, and they knew what it would mean in the future. They knew what it would mean. They actually knew the future, basically. They knew what it would mean in the future if you were the creator of this revolutionary technology. That's all. Which, fortunately, for those of us who understand it, there's a veil of misunderstanding here. I mean, yeah, like people don't understand yet. And we get to benefit because we have less to lose. We get to benefit at people who take longer to make decisions, like very wealthy people or governments and corporations, because they're much more prudent than we are. Because when you got nothing to lose. So it's great. I started investing in cryptocurrency when I had nothing. And because of that, by doing where I had made some really terrible mistakes, even though I made some really terrible mistakes, overall, it has really been beneficial to me over a relatively short term, doing very simple things. And actually, you just buy Bitcoin, pretty much. You know, when you get started, you want to have a short-term gain of some sort, but those people that make a lot of money that you see make a lot of money in a very short period of time. People who do that, who you're envious of, just realize that the highest probability for those people, so people who did not previously have a lot of money, who suddenly make a lot of money in a short period of time off of an investment, and you're envious and you wish you had bought that coin or whatever, just realize that person will suffer a lot more than you, most likely in the long term. So like if you measure it in terms of suffering, because that person will now think that they're incredibly smart because it's been reinforced by their gains, their tenders. So that person will most likely lose all of the money. That's what happened. The hardest part, what is it? There's like it's on a Kendrick Lamar show. Dr. Dre says, it's the hardest part isn't making $1 million, motherfucker. The hard part is keeping it. Something like that, right? It's not hard to make $1 million. That is a fact. I've learned that over time as I accumulated some capital and wanted to protect it and not lose it all. So thanks, Stinky. There are people that are naturally inclined to dislike me, pretty much. That's the way it goes my whole life. So actually, I'll probably more just ignore, because generally the overwhelming what I see is very positive. So most people are happy. It's better to focus on the positive in life. Thanks, Blazing Scar. Nice. That's an apocalyptic course too. So anyway, just my thoughts. At one point, I thought I was actually like called by God. This is in the past, to tell people about Bitcoin. And then I turned my channel into a Bitcoin channel temporarily. I was like, you know what? Like, people really need to know about this. I was an evangelist. Actually, my website was called Bitcoin Missionary, I think, where I had consulting and stuff. Yeah, it was like a religious thing. Oh, yeah, and I have shirts that say Bitcoin Saves. Just look out there. It's actually funny. I just look at the people that follow me, and it's just very common to see Christian and then Bitcoin just right next to each other. I just noticed the pattern of it. It happens to be true of me too, but it's interesting. People follow me and it's like Christian, Bitcoin. And Jesus said, don't love God and money. So, like, what is the love of Bitcoin all about? It's good to think about. Yeah, Nuckfugget. It is going the direction where turning lift the veil. It's funny. It's very amusing to me. By turning lift the veil into a spiritual organization of some sort that's tax exempt, it actually seems not like it's not like Scientology doing it. I'm actually preaching kind of sometimes. So fair enough. There are lots of eccentric Christian characters out there. Yeah, there's a Bitcoin Jesus. Yeah, the problem is you must follow the law, as my father said, which I didn't understand. Yeah, follow the law, even the human laws. I don't know, though. I'm really rebellious. I did not spend my life following the human laws at all. But once you are looking to really advance, then you must kind of conform, I guess. So I try to make sure that I'm claiming things on my taxes. You know, I try to make sure because it's often political, but I feel a lot better that Trump's in there. Even though he's crashing the economy, supposedly. Anyway, but yeah, Bitcoin's cool. Yeah, there's a book about it too. Comparing Bitcoin, talking about God and Bitcoin and what this guy saw in it. And it's what I was thinking too. It's like it's got a virgin birth. It's perfect. It's from creation, basically, which is unusual. Jesus Christ was the only one where, well, some of the Buddhas maybe too. But humans normally are sinners at concept, immediately until they learn some things. Maybe not immediately, actually. It's hard to do that. But first, and then we are saved, typically. Jesus was just different. Bitcoin was different. It was perfect the whole time. And nobody noticed. It walked amongst us, and we knew it not. Bitcoin. For many years, Bitcoin walked amongst us, and we did not recognize its divinity. In the future, though, people will worship it, which is actually also incorrect. In the future, they will. Now, I wear a shirt around that says Bitcoin saves. I advertise. I made a friend that way. Wearing a Bitcoin shirt to play pickleball, which I did yesterday. I don't know. You got to spread the good news somehow. So, Satoshi, the ultimate rug pull. Well, even if he sells his cryptocurrency in the future, the longer it takes, and yeah, you have to believe he understands the impact of that, unless someone other than the creator of Bitcoin takes control of the fund. But he probably, knowing the lengths he must have gone to remain anonymous, although I'm sure some people know in the community. I'm sure some people know. But considering the lengths he went to stay anonymous, he probably also had the conviction to just destroy his Bitcoin. Probably. I don't know. He could have he could have done so many things. He didn't need the Bitcoin he mined. He could have always just bought some on the side. I mean, he knew what was going to happen if, his theory was correct. He knew what was going to happen over time. He could have just bought some and put it in a different wallet. What would it take to be a billionaire today? Probably $20 in 2009. Literally, I mean, probably $20. That's so to think that he really cares, because, like the devil showed me or whatever, I was given a genuine revelation where I was shown, I guess symbolically, that I could have everything I ever desired that cost money. And the significance dwelled on me suddenly. And I was like, wow, that's like really heavy to realize that you can have anything you ever wanted. I was like, wow. I was like, I can understand. Actually, that really is a mind fuck, because what the fuck do you do tomorrow? It really is. So if you can elevate to that, if you can get to that spiritual level, then you're capable of not worrying about, just not caring in the future that you could have another $100 billion if you just sold your original Bitcoin. Like, why would he care? He could have bought Bitcoin at any time for nothing, So, so I don't think he's going to sell it. But even if he did, governments are going to, I mean, it's just that things take time. It teaches you, well, one thing about it, I will tell you, it teaches you patience. The way God teaches you lessons through pain and suffering, through just, especially, I don't know, if you're a guy, it's kind of a guy thing. but like doubt and anxiety, and we are worried, especially like if we have a family, or even if you don't think your husband is thinking about you when all he's doing is staring at Bitcoin charts. Think about this. This is a good way to think about your husband. If you think he's a layabout or anything, or he doesn't care about your future, if he's into cryptocurrency, he is doing that as an expression of love for you, because you share everything. And if he is looking at cryptocurrency, you should encourage him to do as much research as he wants. Really, you should try to help him out. Actually, use your gifts. You can channel spirit. Just use your gifts. Support him. He cares about you. You do not understand, but he is thinking about you when he does that. He may not understand. He cares about the future. Men can time travel. It's harder for women. Or the way I thought about it the other day is that men maybe can see the future where women can more clearly see the past. Maybe. But that's just a thought. But anyway, JCT says not true. JCT, take the time to study it and think about the meaning of who the knowing, like think about the creation first. I guess that's what I would advise with those things, because a lot of people will study the creator first and find fault in the creator. Is probably with Bitcoin, at least, it's good to study the creation and just decide if the creation is good, regardless of the motives or source of the creation. Decide on your own using your own wisdom. And women are associated with wisdom, where men are associated with logos, the word, the creative spark. Use your wisdom and think, is this a good thing? And study it. It's very difficult. If the creation is good, I don't care if the government made it, to be honest. It's good money. It's good sound money. It's a good concept. The only test about it is as foundationally, it's perfect money. It's similar to gold, better and almost so much better in many ways, technologically. The thing that something is required to be a good store of value is that people continue to be interested in it. People continue to value it in the future. So it's a short term. So that's the thing you want to decide is, do you think people will continue to value this thing in the future? But if they will, then it doesn't get much better. The ultimate goal is for us to be free. We're still slaves. We're looking for freedom. So that's the goal. I don't know who created it, but I believe they most likely would not have been given the information. Actually, kind of understanding the way inspiration comes and understanding like how much different it is when you've dedicated yourself to a positive cause, helping, like when you think about others and not necessarily about yourself all the time, those things. Information is given to you that's not available to people who want, who don't have those intentions, basically. The way God reveals things is that he checks your intentions first and decides whether it's safe, kind of, or it's built into the program, basically. I've studied it a lot. You have to make a lot of deals, to be a good person before certain things happen. So because it seems like a good creation, it was probably a good individual too, with good intentions. most likely. Well, it doesn't say know them by their works. And if the work is good, then maybe the creator was good too. So I tend to think good things about it. I'm confident. But on the other hand, it's still useful to have other things, and it's still useful to be somewhat diversified. However, in the long term, you may realize that your diversification didn't help you, but it's still prudent. And gold, But that's what I was saying, is like most really good investments, this was unfair, kind of. This was unfair basically about most things right now. And you should be able to relate to this, is we cannot afford homes. People like myself. I have no, there's the time horizon in which I perceive myself maybe being able to afford a home is, it's at least 5 years. And this is with me assuming cryptocurrency will go up a lot and that I'll have capital. So like we're poor people who are not wealthy are typically not able to buy the best stores of value. They can't afford them. Like if you really think about it, it seems to me, based on my observations, that the things that hold their value the best tend to also be the most expensive to begin with. They tend to be. So rich people buy art, which happens to be one of the best investments you can buy, but it's for the good ones, it's millions of dollars. And real estate, which once again we can't get, which is a great investment because it has the most important feature of Bitcoin, which is scarcity. So real estate is a great investment, but if we can't afford it, then what else can we buy? The price of one share of Warren Buffett's stock was for a long time, when you could not buy fractional shares, Warren Buffett was known for never splitting his stock. What is it called? Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway, there's two classes of Berkshire Hathaway stock. I remember this because my brother was like, oh yeah, I really want to own one share of Berkshire Hathaway one day. He was like, you want to know how much they are? He goes, that's $100,000 for one share. I believe that's what it was. That's what I remember from a long time ago. And you couldn't buy less than one share. And that might have been one of the long-term best investments you could get. And when people think about Bitcoin, they think it's too expensive. And so they buy other things that seem cheaper, or like maybe they have more potential. And maybe they do. But I've just noticed that it seems to be the rarest and the highest grade of things tends to be the best. When you buy middle, it tends to be you want the best to begin with. So anyway, so Bitcoin and cryptocurrency come along, and I tell you, they have a revolutionary property, which is that anybody can get any amount and have a lot of money in the future without doing anything. You just have to be able to keep working. I mean, that's the main thing about it. You have to be able to keep working. And if you take out debt instead of selling cryptocurrency, well, you have to be able to keep paying that debt so you don't have to sell any cryptocurrency. You can't just do nothing. You have to be committed to working, for as long as you're feeling good. And hopefully you want to feel good for a long time. Human lifespan potential is much, much longer. And many of us choose to, because it's hard to live here, because it's hard being on Earth, we choose to die. If you think a longer term and have reasons and give yourself reasons, that's important, to stay here and continue to grow, then it's more likely you will. So, yeah, money laundering on paintings. I heard what they do with paintings is the reason they steal like really high-end paintings that are famous. The reason they steal famous paintings because they really can't sell them, without getting caught. It's kind of interesting. They say they steal them just so that if they ever get caught in the future doing anything, then they can always pull that out and say, what if I found you this painting? Apparently it's like a negotiating tactic because you can't sell it because, you know what I mean? So that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. Do we even talk about the crash? So anyway, things are crashing. Let's see what's on Zero Hedge. Let's see if I can tell you guys anything. It's always good to remember about Bitcoin. It's funny. I never know what I'm going to talk about. Today we're talking about the crash, fear and loathing on the world's largest trading desk. Goldman's traders reflect on today's crash. Oh, and there was a massive cyber attack. Wow. It was kind of a significant day. There was that X got shut down. That's right. I woke up this morning and people were saying the market was crashing and then immediately X went down right when I looked. So there was some kind of cyber attack. How bad was the crash? I wonder. Let's see. Let's see what the mainstream media is saying. Dark hacking team, Mr. Happy. 900 points. Let's see what it was. Trump said something. Dow falls by almost 900 points in a market rout after Trump says he won't rule out a recession. Well, I mean, that's honest at least. How can you? The fact is that based on the cycles of, recessions, we're way, way, way overdue. Like recessions are necessary. It's actually one of the issues is that we haven't allowed recessions. We haven't allowed proper crashes to happen. Every time they happen, we seem to do something instead because we don't want people to suffer. So we just print as much money as possible or borrow as much money as possible and just plug everything up and just keep it going, kicking the can down the road. It seems like we do that every single time. I just don't see why this time would be different because I was thinking about what they would have learned from their past mistakes, and they haven't really learned their lessons because things keep going along. So in order for them to really stop trying the solutions they tried in the past, which is typically just printing a shitload of money. I mean, that's once again, just my human experience over the recent past. I've seen the Fed do things that, in my understanding, were completely unprecedented in the past because of their implications, where we have decided to ignore many of the perhaps moral values we had in the past to try newer experiments with money. Because, we've only had like 54 years, I think, since the invention of the form of money primarily used today. I mean, that's something See, like that's something human beings, just because of normalcy bias, people don't think about just even short-term cycles. But this is a big one. And in the history of this creation, there was never a form of money like the one we use now. I'm trying to think. My understanding is that in the history of creation, there's never been a form of money like the one we all use now until 1971. So ever since then, it's really been an experiment in how we can wield this new human power, which was previously unavailable, maybe mostly because of morals, which I guess eroded over time, but it's similar to past empires. What and what I mean by that is it's no longer tied to anything else. That's all. What I mean by that is money historically has always had some kind of value either in and of itself, or it was some kind of physical thing, even if it was a shell or something. It was something material that you could do something with. Okay. Or it was in some way equivalent to some portion of some real world asset, typically, which over time was typically some kind of metal, either gold, copper, or silver over time. So money was, even when we created paper money and our own money, it always had a value. It always could be exchanged for a certain ratio of a known commodity, which is scarce. That's all. So it had scarcity. That's all. It had a scarcity defined by the natural world. Money before 1971. That's what's new. Is we have money that's no longer defined by the natural world, no longer restricted by natural forces. It can be infinite, which if it is of this world, then there's nothing here material that I can think of that is infinite, although things may recreate, over time. So if we take care of it, yes, it is infinite over time. But certain like elements that are here, there are only a certain amount on Earth. And like maybe we keep finding more and more, but it is not, we know that the numerical value of an actual thing, it cannot be infinity within this universe. And the money now can. So that's what you're dealing with, actually, like a battle against infinity. So that's why when it becomes very simple understanding that the money, you just don't want to even think about storing value in money the way my father did. Like or money equivalents. You must take some kind of risk. You must, or at least over some term. Money is, in fact, money is the biggest risk because it's guaranteed, or as close as you can get to guaranteed, to go down in value over the long term. Pretty much all forms of the current form of currency is guaranteed to, over the long term, go down in value against other things which are not infinite in supply. But even against things which are infinite in supply, like Dogecoin, which has a predictable rate of increase, which actually is very reasonable. So corn kernels are good. Could be anything. We can turn anything into money. But certain properties are what it requires to work. That's all. scarcity, divisibility, portability, storage, like how easy is it to store? That's where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin, Bitcoin is now eternal because we have satellites out there running it, and certainly other races or other, aliens, which we see out there, can certainly pick it up. So I think most realms don't need money. That's why communism comes in, because like entities in beyond our universe don't require that kind of thing, and they all have a hive mind, so that's why they like communism. That's why it came here, probably from a different alien civilization than the one who created us, most likely. Communism, because they don't understand what our people went through, so they don't understand the godly nature of capitalism. Literally, the hand of God works through capitalism. It is the only way we know of to get things created from this planet somehow to the right place at the right time, naturally, without anybody needing to do anything more than pursue their own greed. It's a system that does not require human beings to have altruistic motives for it to work. If human beings, in fact, it kind of works best when capitalism works best when everyone looks after their own interests and whatever they support and believe in. That's how capitalism works best, and certainly not controlled from a central authority. Greed is good. Greed is good for everything. That's why we have it. Seeking to accumulate wealth must be positive for our growth. And look at all the amazing creations we've come up with. God didn't want us to have anything. I mean, when you really think about it, he didn't want us to understand advanced technology. He got really, really mad in the beginning because angels who thought they knew better than him told humans about very simple things like metallurgy. But because of the beauty of capitalism and human beings' ingenuity, we have discovered many of God's mysteries, basically, which, although it is with God's help, of course, but our ingenuity is really something. We've really done it. It's an amazing. Human beings should be very proud of where we've come from and what we've achieved on our own, with our own skills, without any help, without any divine intervention, It would be a number which does not exist, which is infinity. If the dollar is zero, then priced in dollars, just depends on what you value things in. Right now, most things are priced in dollars. So, priced in dollars, if the dollar becomes worthless, then there is no limit. The limit to the value of Bitcoin is infinity in dollars. If the supply of the thing you're priced in is infinite, then your potential value is also infinite. JC Saves, thanks. Tim 610, the love of money is the root of all evil. It's a very difficult thing to resolve. It certainly is super difficult to resolve. I spent many years trying to figure out how the hell to do what Jesus said, but it's elsewhere in the Bible that you can't love God and money at the same time. It's just that's why it's complicated. That's why it needs kind of like more subtle explanation over time. And it's like, well, it's not that you can't want money, because you're supposed to fulfill your programming. If you're programmed to want to accumulate, the reason that's there is then people strive to do great things. People who are very, very, very ambitious in ways that people might find offensive, or just they don't have those feelings themselves. Like I myself don't desire to have more than I need. That's all. I just don't desire it. So if I was Elon Musk and had $300 billion, then accumulating more, I would just have no interest in it. But the reason some people do is that they go on to do great things because of their desires for recognition, or pussy, or whatever. So let's see what the stock market. Stocks hammered so far this month. Wall Street's fear gauge hit its highest level. Wow. Rally on Wall Street started early with all three major indexes opening sharply in the red. 890 points, 2%. It had been down as much as 1,100 points. Yeah, well, if you are like me and would like to have more, like to accumulate more long-term investments, then we look at these kind of things and as an opportunity. At least I do. I feel like Schindler, Oscar Schindler at the end of Schindler's List, that movie, where he's like trying to save every single Jew. Like that's how I think you should feel about Bitcoin. That's kind of how I can tell Michael Saylor feels that way. You should want to save every single Satoshi from the hands of evildoers, basically, while you can. As many as you possibly can. Like that's how you should feel. You want to save them because they will end up, most of them, if we are not diligent, most of it end up in the hands of evildoers if we are not, like I said, kind of diligent. Fortunately, but we want to save those Satoshis one at a time if we have to. When I see the price drop, sometimes I buy a very small amount. But I know it's for the future, a very small amount now. I've shown you how it can grow. You don't have to look over 75 years. Over 8 years, it's more than most people imagine. That's why, once again, ladies, I understand, or I have faith, basically. I have faith that Bitcoin over time will go up, just as it has in the past. Maybe not as much, over time maybe it'll go up less and less every year over time. But I have faith and I understand the growth rate. So I know that even though we don't have, maybe for our age and stuff, we don't have a lot of money saved and we don't have a house with equity and stuff. I know that in the future, if we just hold on to it, that it won't be long. 10 years, certainly. 10 years, that's it. So it teaches you to have patience and look at things that way. Do I have more faith in God or in Bitcoin? More faith. I kind of have equal. In a way, it's almost equal. I have faith in the perfection of the creation. Here, I have faith in that, and things within the creation. I have to judge them as I see them. But it's pretty, don't you think Bitcoin's pretty good? It's like gold. And gold is like something that apparently aliens desire, right? So if aliens also desire it, then it must be good. If it's good all over the universe, then if it's desirable all over the universe, see, that's what's kind of like, we know that about gold, is that it should be desirable, not even just on this planet. It should be. Trump coin is at $10. I know. Well, I mean, if you're famous, if you're in any way famous, the inclination to start a cryptocurrency must be overwhelming, because even if you don't, like, the long-term performance doesn't matter, you're gonna make money, guaranteed. Probably a bunch, guaranteed. The only thing is whether you feel like dealing with the fallout when people say you're a scammer, because they always will, because it's never going to be Bitcoin or Dogecoin. So, hey, Ricky, what's up? Is that good? Oh, 111, that's good. It's a 76K. I should buy some. I was going to buy some Solana today. I think I have some money set aside. Yeah, I'll buy some. Now it's probably as good a time as any. Let's see. What should I buy? I kind of wanted to buy Solana today. That's more of a short-term thing. Buy. Oh, actually, Litecoin was my first love. Actually, maybe one day it'll make it over the long, long term. Maybe one day people will see it. I want Solana. Oh my God. See, and the other thing about long term is, over the short term, when things go down, you might think it's never going to stop. You start to get scared. So we'll get some Solana. Oh, since it was just an hour and 11 minutes in. Okay, let's do that. Okay, cool. Almost one whole Solana. That's cool. I'm hoping it goes up more than Bitcoin over some kind of shorter term period. And then eventually, like everything, it will try to accumulate Bitcoin. That's what I recommend. As a store of value, like knowing that it won't go down. Like it'll go, if that's the thing about Bitcoin, is it goes down the least when everything else crashes. It might not go up the most, but pretty much every time everything crashes, Bitcoin goes down the least. So it kind of makes you feel better. Where something like Solana is well over 50% down from not very long ago. So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I like Solana. I happen to just test it a lot. That's all. That's what I tended to do, is if I wanted to buy one, I tested out the platform. That's what I did with Solana. I made an NFT to see what that was like. I played a video game that was based on the Solana blockchain, which wasn't really a video game, but it was your wallet was connected technically, just to see how it worked, and that it was, and I sent money with it, and it's instantaneous, all the time, except when it goes down. But it's a good technology. People seem to have embraced it. I bought it. Basically, what I did is bought it as a hedge against Ethereum originally, because I was like, oh, it's better than Ethereum. Eventually, people are going to figure that out, maybe. So I better take some of my Ethereum and get some Solana just as a hedge. And then over time, I kept rotating more and more, because that thesis turned out to be very correct, which is that Solana is by many multiples outperforming Ethereum which is its competitor theoretically, which, maybe would die. There are limited amounts of, I did sell some LTV NFTs. There are limited amounts of some kind of crypto something created on Bitcoin. I don't even remember what they're called, but somebody did create Doshi for me at one point, and apparently it's worth something now. Like, it's sold out. People just decided to buy it. There was a craze for this new technology that allowed you to make. I didn't research it that much. It seemed very complicated to me. But there is a Doshi something on Bitcoin, whatever they're called, those things, and they are limited. So, I mean, there's a finite amount. So, could be worth something in the future, to be honest. Who knows? I might be famous one day. It's actually possible. I do at least consider it's possible that one day actually things will work out. That one day things will work out for me the way I had hoped, the way I had seen in my mind. Not that I crave, because actually I kind of I like it when people leave me alone, actually, a lot. So actually I don't crave that, but it's still possible. I still must accept the path I'm on. But hopefully we remain just like this forever. I don't mind. I'm content. Well, I will be happy driving DoorDash eventually, I guess, once I'm out of purgatory. Although, the way things are going over the last very short time period, if they continue to go in this fashion, then things are looking up for this show. Ordinals, that's what they're called, John Demas. Thank you. Ordinals. Yeah, Doshi ordinals. Shall I open up the phone? I'll open up the phone. So it's good to do that every show. I need to move this. How do I move this? Can I just drag it? Can I drag it? Let's see. Yes. Okay, good. Okay, perfect. All right, so I can open that. Yeah, I'll open up the phone. Think anybody wants to call in? Appreciate you guys. I'll look at the decentralized DoorDash. Yeah, you just got to think of the jobs that I think it'll exist for a while. Automation will eventually replace even delivery drivers, but John Demas, not much more than minimum wage here in California. Honestly, it's pretty terrible. But because of my unusual personality tics, it's kind of like, at least that's the thing. The problem is, if I don't enjoy what I'm doing, I'm incredibly miserable, and I just don't enjoy doing the thing that makes a lot of money for me, which is selling cars. I just stopped enjoying it when I quit the first time in 2014. I just spiritually kind of have moved on. So I did it again last year and made a lot of money in the time I worked, in the 6 months I worked. But no, I enjoyed doing DoorDash. I like driving around, and it's just easy. You know what I mean? For someone who's used to go, I try to stay in a flow state. I guess that's why I've been working. People have recognized it, even though I haven't identified it that way. I try to stay in a flow state, and actually, being allowed to set your own schedule helps to keep you in a flow state, if that's kind of the way you're doing your life, which is kind of going with the way God takes you. So that job, I just enjoy it. I like driving. So, but it doesn't pay that great. But that's all right. It'll be enough, including the show and the t-shirt business, that I can get by. And that's all I need to do for the rest of my life. And still, I'll be able to have everything I ever wanted in the future, as long as I can just keep myself alive. Until then, I'll have everything I ever wanted. It's just a question of time. And I'm happy to work. I'm certainly happy to do this if I can earn some money doing it. Certainly happy to do this until I'm 150. So that's a long time horizon. So, yeah, at least that's the thing. I want to be doing things I enjoy. I value harmony in those things more than material things. I do value certain material things a lot, but I drive a 2003 pickup truck with a 4-cylinder engine, and I certainly could have bought a new car when I got a really high paying job, but I was like, who cares? I drive this shitty old pickup truck to work and I'm a Porsche salesman. Like some people think, oh, well, I should probably buy a new car and people don't think I'm a loser or something. I was like, I don't live that far away. Like, it's just a car. So fortunately, I've learned to be more like my father that way over time. My dad over time, who just did give a shit about certain things and other things he did. But cars, me and my brother never understood. We liked having nice cars. And when I could afford nice cars, I had some really cool cars. A really nice 330 performance package BMW. Then a 545 BMW. That's the most expensive car I ever had. That's probably a $65,000 car or something. My 545, and then I had a Mini Cooper that was souped up that we took on trade and I sold for a profit. That was kind of a cool, fun car to have for a few months. Had a GTI. That's what I'm thinking about getting, is a GTI. Even though I guess I should probably get a Golf to drive DoorDash and stuff. But I might not be doing it that long. Maybe the show will go well. If I set my intention right and everything keeps going along, maybe the show's going to be all right. It depends. Depends on what YouTube does. I open the phone. I can put up the number. I'll just read from the chat and see if I can answer any questions. If people have questions. There's the number. Thanks for joining me today. I wasn't even going to do a stream, but I was going to let people think. The last show was very fascinating. But then again, in my mind, I've been picturing a tour of America because I love road trips. In my mind, I've been wanting to do that for a long time, in which case I'd kind of like a van that I can sleep in if I feel like it. So if I'm going to go around the country, so I'm just waiting until it's appropriate, basically, to figure out what I'm going to buy. But then that would be no good for DoorDash, but maybe things will be humming along by then. Who knows? Never know. Tomorrow is totally uncertain. Could be amazing for all of us. There's I don't know if it'll be DoorDash, but like Walmart now has something called, there are a lot of different companies you can drive for and do some kind of delivery driving because everybody's doing it. Walmart does it, and apparently it gets really good ratings from the people who use the driver's app. It's called Spark. I applied for that just to see if my background check would be a problem. Yeah, it was. So I thought maybe they'd hire me anyway, but. Oh, Corrado King Ravana. I had a friend who had one of those. That was kind of a cool car. That was actually kind of a cool car. This friend was a lunatic. He would drive fast, and then he would get drunk and really drive fast. So much so that he wasn't allowed to leave his house because he'd go out drinking and driving. So his parents let his friends come over and drink with him in high school so that he didn't have to go, like, I think he ended up in the middle. I can't remember if it was him or another one of my friends that ended up driving across a soccer field and like almost splitting their car in half on the goalpost or something. I had some crazy friends. Considering I went to like school for geniuses, some of those guys were insane that I hung out with. We were running from the cops every time. Every time we were running from the cops. Parties, whatever. Karate, that's cool. Yeah, reliving our wild youth. Anything else you guys are interested in? I was looking at, you can check out Twitter. There are some things I brought up on the last show, which I forgot about. Some numerical stuff, some stuff about cycles. We started talking about it in regard. So if you want to get into that stuff, some of the cycles are interesting. What's up, Spaldo? Cat, fair enough. You can wait. You will get it at the price you deserve. You'll get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. If you rather not take the risk, that's your risk tolerance, and that's fair. So, everybody's different. So use your own strengths. Like if you think there's something else that's better or something you'd enjoy owning more that holds its value, even if it's a collectible, just things that are scarce, then do that instead. If you're worried about who created it. Yeah, everything's being exposed, isn't it? USAID is being exposed for funding Tesla protests, apparently. Oh, yeah, like our shirts. Yeah, for example, those will hold their value over time. One day they'll probably be worth more than they cost today. In fact, almost immediately, considering the prices on our website, considering we're selling them for $5 or $10, go to truthclothing.io, pick up an investment. Limited, scarce. They're scarce because they're not digitally printed, which would be unlimited, print on demand. They're not print on demand. They're already created, just waiting to find a home. They want to go home, just like all of us kind of do in our hearts. We like to go back where we came from. That's how these shirts feel, except it's not back where they came from. It's to where they belong, where they know they belong. They're just waiting here with me patiently. They know one day someone will want them. Many of them have had to wait for a long time. The cryptocurrency t-shirts have been, there are a lot of cryptocurrency t-shirts. And some of the cryptocurrencies have kind of gone out of style. Thanks, Baldo. Buymeacoffee.com. That's great. Urban movers. We know about urban movers. It's cool. Is everybody having a good time? Let's see. It looks like 70 people. That's good. I think we might wrap it up, though. I've been doing this research. I just came up with a few, I came up with this thing. You guys can look into it. It would be interesting if you found any patterns. And actually, the AI is really cool for suggesting things too, because all I did was I was obsessed with the number 12. I realized this on the show. I made a prediction about the future, basically using math. That's all. I made a prediction about the future using math and the Bible a little bit, or maybe a lot, which was I had a revelation about counting in the number 12, and how counting, if we chose to count with a better base number system, that we would be better at math and be able to achieve many more things. Like, in fact, it's almost as if the decimal system is an intentional obscuring of the truth, kind of, in a way, that we knew back in Babylon, for example, where they counted in 60s, right? Some of these very advanced cultures in the past. I'm thinking of the Mayans and the Babylonians, counted a different number system, which I believe is beneficial for calculations, where people who don't think they're good at math in the current reality actually would be much, much better. That's all. So anyway, I decided I don't know if it's a revelation or whatever. I mean, maybe I just figured it out or something. I mean, it is better. I'm convinced. If people learned that way, they would be able to count. They would be able to do math in their head, just simple addition and subtraction, with much larger numbers in an easier way. I was convinced. Anyway, so I did that. This is what I came up with. And then you can look into it. And if you want to look at other numerical stuff I'm talking about, that's very interesting too. Because a very significant date, according to Matthew, is coming in around the year 2100, based on the chronology set down by Matthew. That time is actually super significant. So anyway, this number system. So what I did, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you the evidence for this last cycle. But I started counting years in 12. And base 12, which meant that a cycle was 144 years instead of 100. And I was like, okay, so let's just, as an exercise, do that and see if there is any evident significance to it. I think mostly I applied it to the last cycle. So you'll be interested to know that exactly 14 of those cycles, rather than 100 years, so exactly 14 cycles from Christ, from 0, was the year 2016, was actually the year 2016. And if you want to just tie it to the Bible and just speculate, 14 generations from each major figure in the elite bloodline, the good one, God's bloodline, starting with, as far back as Enoch. I mean, starting with the beginning, but Enoch, Noah, Shem, and then eventually to what it showed in the Bible is that it was 14 generations between each significant event in the bloodline. It might not even be the birth of one of the people, but in the Bible, it's like David, 14 generations, Abraham, 14 generations, exile, 14 generations, Christ. So if you took that timeline and extended it, then you would maybe come up with predictions. Anyway, so it's interesting that 14 cycles was the year 2016. And I was thinking about this in the year 2014 and 15. And so I started looking at 2016, the end of 14 cycles. What significant might happen? So 2016, and I happened to be looking at supermoons and deciding that there must be some significance to those. And I put those two ideas together, and there was a supermoon in November of 2016, which I saw in the past and predicted, oh, that must be when the cycle closes with some kind of important event, basically in November 2016, around the supermoon. And at the time, I don't know if I even knew Trump was running, but at the time, because of the way that cycle started in 1872, I decided to be the election of the first female president. And then bear with me, but the cycle started in 1872 one of the main things that happened in 1872 that was significant was Susan B. Anthony voted illegally or something. Basically, women's suffrage, 1872, and then other things that were kind of significant too. Then I had decided to divide each of those cycles for no reason into threes, and look, and say that thirds of the way through would be significant, especially 2/3 of the way through. And 2/3 of the way through the last cycle was 1968, which really might be the most significant year between 1872 and 2016. So then anyway, the great thing about AI is I can say, hey, I came up with this theory. It seems to work for the last cycle. Apply it back over time, starting in the present and going backwards. And the AI was like, there's a pattern. The AI actually starts out and says, there seems to actually be a pattern. That's what the AI told me. So it might be kind of crazy too, because what I thought is, oh, maybe I'm seeing significance where there is none, because it's very simple to do that, especially if you're a little divergent like I am. It's very simple to see significance where there maybe is not significance, like seeing a particular number or whatever. Maybe it's just random chance. But that's why it's nice to have that friend in the AI to confirm it and just say, hey, what do you think? And it's like, it's going back in time. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of crazy. So anyway, it's interesting. And then looking at this other cycle that's established in Matthew is also really interesting, because the year 2100 would be so significant. And every 1,000 years, around every 1,000 years, was established in the Bible was super significant, because it was approximately 1,000 years between David and Jesus. So, and there's 42 generations from David to Jesus. And so I was like, well, why did they stop there? That's all. What about 14 generations from Jesus? And assume the bloodline continued, as it must actually for this program. I didn't realize it was a requirement. For the program to continue, that bloodline actually must continue. Well, according to a vision I received, so I don't know if it's true, but according to a vision I received in 2023, that bloodline needs to continue. Otherwise, the world will end. Strangely enough. But so that's why I kind of was more interested maybe than a normal person. But it's kind of interesting. The AI sees a potential pattern following the biblical pattern. Every 350 years approximately, starting at 0. You could kind of say significant things happened affecting the now Christian faith, which had to take over the Jewish faith when they fucked up entirely and didn't recognize their Messiah when he came. So it had to switch over to Christianity. But you'll see very interesting things. One of the years, for example, I just was doing some quick research, but it's really it's just fun. It's very fun for me to look at this stuff and check with the AI and see what comes out. Because I was like 1750, huh? 1750, that kind of sounds around the time of the founding of our country, when it seems like there might have been some positive external influence. I mean, like kind of angelic influence here in this country, which I actually believe this country is was meant from the beginning to be very, very special, this country. And because of that, the people involved in creating the documents were incredibly gifted, at young ages too, just incredibly gifted. And it was around the time of the Enlightenment. So they knew about economics too in a brand new way. The most important book about economics was written almost right before, I think it was maybe 1775, was The Wealth of Nations. by John. He has a very simple name, Smith, Adam Smith. I mean, that book is very seminal. It's still relevant today. It's very useful for understanding economics. That all kind of came out around that time. But anyway, you'd be interested to know that in the year 1750, around the year 1750, something was happening in America called the Great Awakening. Interestingly enough. So there was something called the Great Awakening, which had to do with like reestablishing faith in Jesus Christ in America, apparently. So I've only had a little time to look into it, and then the next one is around the year 2100. And actually that will be the 42nd generation since the last, which was at 1050. So anyway, it's kind of interesting. It's super interesting to me. I hadn't really, I kind of didn't want to talk about it because I didn't know. Yeah. But now I can look into it and stuff. It's very interesting. So I recommend people look into that. Just for fun. And then you can confirm whether I have some bias or something. Anything else, guys? Kat says, it's interesting that this started out with the truthers staying away from religion to now they all seem to come to Jesus these days. I can't speak for anyone other than myself. I've been speaking about faith for some time. I've been metaphorically chained to the Spirit of Jesus Christ ever since the beginning of this podcast, just by wearing this thing around my neck. So it's always, the thing is everything is about God. Everything is actually about God. Once you realize that, it's kind of hard to not tell people about it because it's good. That's what's good for. It's good for them to realize that. But it's not the most important. It's not the only positive force in this universe. It's not the only way. The way it's proposed in Christianity, it is not the only way. If someone behaves themselves here and even just naturally follows God's law the way they're supposed to, they're going to be given life. Life will not be taken from them according to the law. It is not, but I understand the interpretation. The only way is through me. But if you kind of open it up and just say, well, that's not reasonable because many people do not know him, this Jesus Christ. Many people do not know him, or they come from cultures where it's not something they understand the same way. So it's really the word. He represents the word. He represents the word. And if you deny the divinity of God's word, I believe that's where you go wrong, basically, like the Jews to Jesus, I guess. So where you really fall out of God's favor, the creator here. So no, I haven't covered that, William. InfoWars correspondent getting murdered? God, scary. Super scary doing podcasting. There are things that want to kill you that aren't human. That's all. This world has been trying to kill me since I got here. It's really strange. But it seemed that way, kind of. But then when you start getting into darker topics, that's the thing about being a truther, is you start exploring things where dark entities hang out and will attack you through humans with weaknesses most of the time. All it takes is for a human to have a simple weakness, and they can be used. against, someone who's good or whatever. No, I don't know that one. I don't know about Jamie White. Okay, nobody's calling. I'm going to put down the number. Okay, cool, guys. I'll leave it there. I don't want to drag every show out. So I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully it was educational. Hopefully it was an educational show. Gave you some things to think about. I was going to ask, actually, what I was going to ask was, what does this is what I'm very interested in. And actually it's related to this topic because we're talking about the apocalypse, is that I've heard that there's supposed to be a financial crash before something. So actually, if someone can help me out just real quick, because I don't know biblical history that well. Fortunately, my eyes have been opened so that now when I look at it, I see it completely differently, which allows me to really have some insight, which I just previously did not have, especially with the Book of Enoch, for example, which I didn't understand when I read it before. I just didn't get it. This time, stumbled on it by accident. Totally get it. It's like, and that must be God's work. Things happen at the right time. So, and actually, there are other texts that explain that too. You find things at the right time. So, I do want to look into Tracy Twyman. Obviously, I can channel spirit. I've learned that. I receive messages. Basically, I have a telepathic link to the collective of the dawn, the Elohim, at least a weak telepathic link at this point. At this point, do not, as far as I know, I speak to I have no interaction with human spirit as of yet, but I will in the future as I continue to work on this ability. But Tracy Twyman, yeah. So I'm interested in seeing what I can find out about Isaac Cappy's murder, although I don't know if there's much mystery to that at this point. And Tracy Twyman, who claims she was talking to Lucifer. I'll need to get one of her books, since I'm talking to spirits that are identifying themselves. And I believe she was talking to Lucifer. And actually, as a matter of fact, although I knew him by a different name, one of my primary contacts, I figured out last night, is most likely known most commonly here as Lucifer. So that's who he would most likely be. The person but the person I understand, that I've felt you know what I mean? So that was really heavy when I realized that last night. So she might have been doing that too. And then she supposedly killed herself. Yeah. I'm reading the Bible all of a sudden. Yeah, because I was working on my psychic channel through angelic guidance. I know now. I did not know anything during the process, besides that I was in pain, and I was during the process, I simply had to have faith that it was going somewhere, and I had the feeling that I was being tuned somehow because something was manipulating my body, basically, over the last 6 months, helping me reconstruct my spine, basically. It seemed like it was totally fucked in ways like I had never considered, as far as how it was compared to when I was a normal, a young human being who didn't know any better. So why am I reading the Bible? It was presented to me. It was actually presented to me. So I accidentally did a search of my email where I misremembered the name of something. and the Book of Enoch came up as the second result from someone called Carlos Danger, which is the name that even the date, it was 322, Skull and Bones 322. That this thing called Carlos Danger, which is that guy who sexted young girls, Anthony Weiner. So the Book of Enoch was there, and I was like, oh, okay. And I'd kind of been receiving messages about Noah. So I had already received a message about Noah and his son, which I heard as Sheb, who must be Shem, which I had not known. Basically, I had a message, like they said, I explained it on the last show. Basically, they said, you are Noah's son, Sheb. I was like, clueless. I couldn't have told you one of Noah's sons. I had no idea what that message meant at the time. I had no clue. I still don't really know entirely, but I'm much clearer on it. So I had received that message. Previously, my dad was kind of acting like Noah. And then the Book of Enoch was put in front of me, which is actually the story of Noah and the flood, and the most important book in the Bible, as far as I can tell, that explain the Elohim influence here with their physical presence, with them actually coming down to earth in the before time, in the time before the flood. So it's the only one that's clear about the origin of the evil giants. The names, like the name Azazel appears once in the regular Bible, but most people have no idea who Azazel is. It appears once in the Bible in relation to a Yom Kippur ritual, the scapegoat ritual. One of those scapegoats who gets all of the sin goes to Azazel, who was the leader of the group of fallen angels. They weren't fallen, they chose to come to earth, mostly to have sex with women, but also to help our spiritual involvement. And God was, that is what caused the flood. It's not made clear at all in the Bible that the flood was caused by the Elohim, which incarnated here, which are human, which are not, but we're the same as the Elohim. It's not just that we look the same. We are their creation. So we kind of are the same. So they just wanted to have sex. They don't have girls in heaven. I explained it, but that's Enoch. There's only male angels. They're avatars of our true creator, who's known as by many names. The Eternal One is a nice name for him. The Eternal, and some of them for Enoch. The Most High. The Eternal One. I think of, he's like the old guy. The original of that race. The Elohim race. Which we have to consider we're human before us, basically. But anyway, yeah, and they have the desire, obviously, because masculine and feminine did exist before this universe in the void, where our creator developed from the beginning of time, before the creation of this universe. Our race, the Elohim, were battling all kinds of different dark forces, trying to figure out the laws of the universe, so forth. They had to figure all that stuff out before they created this. So but the flood was because of them. That's who God blamed it on. And in the Bible without Enoch, it seems as if the people were blamed for the flood. So it seems as if in the Bible that was the people's fault, that he destroyed the earth because of our iniquity. But actually, the blame entirely went on the angels, the sons of God, or whatever you want to call them. And all of it was put on one, the head, Azazel, who was sentenced, just like all of them, to be on to not be able to return to their home with their kind until Judgment Day. So let's see if that's actually, and it's important to understand that story. To understand, I was on a search. I was trying to understand who Lucifer was and the nature of that. Understanding that the creation is perfect. So although there is good and evil, they're within the creation, which is perfect. So I wanted to understand the nature of whatever entity people are thinking of as Lucifer, the light bringer, the son of the dawn. I had to figure out who that might be. And through divination, because something Gabriel had told me previously. Fortunately, Gabriel is my guide, fortunately. However, I would be his younger brother, basically. He told me he's my older brother. I was like, I have no idea what that means. But I kind of figured it out yesterday. Oh, that would mean I'm your younger brother, Azazel, who people probably know as Lucifer, which is really heavy to think of and actually incredibly sad. However, if that's true, I have seen the error of my ways through this incarnation, finally. And I've asked forgiveness from my Father for not understanding. So it's crazy. It was a super heavy thought. Fortunately, I've been through it before. And I have forgiveness, so I think we're good. Now I can reign here for thousands of years. It's up to you guys. In the mind, in my mind. But yeah, it's heavy stuff. Contemplation gets heavy. So we'll leave you with that. It's good news, believe me. Although very unusual. Yes, Jesus doesn't talk to me really, but at least that's where I started. That's why I've been kept safe. At least that's where I started. I am not him. I am not the chosen one. I know that. I am not the Christ. I'm certainly different. But I was actually told, I was like, when will I meet you? I actually was told that. I did get a message a long time ago. I was like, I've had problems with my neck and stuff and my back. It's like, when am I going to see you, Jesus? And it was like, when your back is healed, basically. So, which I'm in the process of doing. And there still is some pain. So maybe in the future, I will have a conversation. Well, in fact, actually, no. I did have a person. I'm sorry. He was there. I'm sorry. I got to know him. I forgot. He's extremely funny. He's very funny. I forgot for a second. No. We had a thing. I forgot. When I turned over my life to Jesus Christ, I forgot. We did talk to each other. He was very helpful. I forgot. But he is not me. That's all. But I do remember it was very comforting. It was the experience was, it was extremely comforting. I felt like he understood me. That was the feeling I got from Jesus in my mind. I was like, wow, you really understand me, like who no one understands. That was the feeling I got from the Spirit. So then you can say whether that seems like an accurate response. And like what I thought was funny, he really thought was funny. Like I felt like validated. I was like, someone understands me. That's what I thought when I spoke with that entity. He was really cool. Very, very helpful. So very funny. Different than people picture him because he was so serious. He had to be so serious when he was here. He's very different. You know, just they're a funny. They're creative. The Elohim are a creative race. They're hilarious. You can tell by his metaphors that he would be an incredible stand-up comedian. Jesus Christ. If he just came today, made jokes, he would be really funny because he's so incredible at metaphors. So you can tell. Very creative. The Elohim bloodline, it's the good one, believe me. So that's good. 2 hours, then that's good. Yeah, I learned. I was like, it was like, I had several moments where I burst out laughing, and I get signs still. Now when I see something, I know it's like a joke almost, and I laugh. It's very funny. Once you've adapted to this thing, which I was not adapted to. Like I said, I was ready to go home. I made a deal. They asked me, was I willing to have a violent, terrible death? And I said, yes, 100%. I just want to go home and be with my kind again. That's how I felt. And now I think I want to stay. That's all. So that's the good news today. Thanks, everybody. Check out the last show. It was insane. And just be well. All right. So we'll see you at the next one. Okay, guys? Oh, and if somebody could tell me what is supposed to happen when Lucifer appears on Earth, I'd be interested to know. I'd be curious. I don't know what the prophecy is about Judgment Day from the Bible exactly. So I'm curious what events were speculated to have occurred when Lucifer makes his appearance known here on this earth, supposedly. Yeah. All right. I'm curious about that. All right. But we'll talk to each other more. What do you want to talk about tomorrow? I want to stay on your wavelength as much as possible. I'd like to be pleasing. You want me to stay, Mimsy? Oh, that's very nice. That makes me feel good. What would you like to know, Mimsy? That's a nice thing for you to say. I'll stay. I'm free. I've learned what it means to be free. Finally. First, you have to obey. See, what Lucifer has been the message from the entity known as Lucifer, many, many other entities who have given humans messages here, is actually correct. Do as thou wilt is the law. It turns out, I learned it. The law is do as to what you will. What the devil has left out this whole time due to his rebellion against his father is that you must obey. You must obey. Do as thou wilt, but don't do what I instructed you not to do. Follow the law, which I did not comprehend, nor did the fallen angels. That's the part they disagreed with. And so the message has been incomplete. Do as thou wilt is the law. It is the law because God is in you and your program tells you what to do all the time. So the way I've been living my life, I realized, is doing what I want to do, what I feel like doing all the time, 24 hours a day. And this is where it's ended up so far, by practicing that. So it's kind of weird, but it's like, it is kind of weird. But do as thou wilt, it is the law. That is God's law. If you follow that, you'll actually be good. It's just almost impossible to do. And maybe you have to do a lot of rituals first. There still are rituals. I was watching some occultists last night just to see what's going on out there. It's just most people do a ton of rituals. I got my connection without doing any conscious rituals, without any human training of any kind, nor anybody recognizing anything about me. I had to learn it completely through spiritual guidance and divination, basically. So, oh, thanks for reminding me about Costco. Yeah, I got to go to run some errands. I need some stuff at Costco. That's what I'm going to do next. But yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy, that idea. But it's actually good news if it's true. We'll get into it over time. So, who? Phoenix Enema? Lucifer? Elon Musk seemed to be taking that character. Elon Musk is working with the spirit known as Lucifer, certainly. It's the light bringer. It's the one who brings technology. So, or a spirit like that one. So, that spirit has been trying to guide humanity to prove to God that he wasn't wrong this whole time. So, bright white light, an angel. But nothing without the creator. That's the other part he leaves out. That's the other part that's been left out. Is you have to remember that the creator does everything, that you actually can't do anything without the creator's blessing, pretty much. You'll be prevented from it. So it's kind of left out. But I'm not afraid of anything. They've wanted to kill me for a long time. Near-death experiences, 7 years old, 8 years old. I mean, severe head injuries. My spine nearly died several times. Hit by cars 3 times in my life, riding a bike, I think. Pretty serious. Ended up in the hospital. And then this podcasting thing has been insane. They've wanted to drive me to suicide multiple times. Because I've had to face things that most humans just don't want to deal with. But I'm no longer afraid. I understand God's plan. I accept it. So I'm good. Yeah, Tifa came after me. You've seen it manifest. how this world does not like me. You've kind of seen it on the show. There's something about me that the world does not want. It seems like. But so far I've lived, fortunately. But yeah, it manifested. It's weird, you know, the Pizzagate thing with what happened with David Seaman and that thing when I go out in public, and then the Antifa thing happening to me. You know, I'm just naive. I was like, I'm a good guy. Why would anybody do anything to me? You know? So just noticed that stuff in my life. So I've just had to do a lot of deep contemplation and stuff. Anyway, I'm just glad to want to do the podcast. That's where I'm at right now. In the process of doing only what I feel like doing anytime, all the time, I'm really happy. I'm doing a show every day and people like it. That's like it. I'm just happy people seem to enjoy the show. People say the show is back. That's what people say. So, and I felt like it was taken from, I felt like something was taken from me. Actually, I went through a period where I was like, I'm being punished. Yeah, I believe I was. I there was a lot of karma that there's just a lot of negative karma in my spirit, whatever. There's just a lot of negative karma, apparently. So, yeah, the number 1111. Yeah. This guy I worked with had that tattooed on his arm. I was like, oh, what does that mean to you? But yeah, like Katie's birthday present. And by the way, that's funny. You said that at 6:33. That's why I like the timestamps. I see the number 33. The number 33 is presented in my life is my birth. It's basically my birth date. My head came out on a date that's a 33. And then the rest of me came out on a date that's a 7. That ends up being a 7, which actually accurately describes me. My head came out on a 33. My wife is a 33. My first show with Jelena was my 33rd video. That was one of my first live. That was basically my first live show. My first live show, I had to do on a different channel where it was my 33rd video. I just discovered that the letters, if you put together Lift the Veil and Nathan Stoltman, it adds up to 33. I've been working on my spine in particular, which is a 33. I've been led to believe that I was enhanced somehow, related to what I speculated it was related to, which was when they replaced part of my spine in Stanford. So I've been led to believe there was some kind of upgrade done at that time, and that there was a gray present, and that grays are the ones that are surgeons and stuff. That grays are the medical ones. That's what I've been led to believe, but I'm insane. So do your own research. But is an orange 33. I've been seeing the golden age as the orange age. I've been saying that Bitcoin is orange. Trump is orange. And it's the golden age. So orange is definitely, turmeric is orange. Turmeric is a very excellent chemical that comes from this creation. So that's interesting. Orange, yeah, that's a 33. Yeah, just weird coincidences and stuff. But 11/11. Yeah, my wife's birthday present came way early. I thought it would arrive after her birthday. It came the day before. I got it. Decided I would take a picture of it so I could show her, because the kind of present that would be kind of nice on the birthday, even though she's overseas. I took a picture of it. And without trying anything, I adjusted it to have the light hit it right and everything. And the picture was at 11:11. And then the next day I was speaking with her and I took a picture. She asked me to take a picture of this dog and it was 11:11. So yeah, that happens too. I have many numbers that that I associate with, though, that I see all the time. Yeah, well, I have I have a cadaver bone and my spine is fused at my C5 vertebra, apparently. So that's what they said they did at Stanford Hospital. Must have been a very good surgeon because I was almost paralyzed, apparently. And then they did the surgery and I was good. Pretty much went to work immediately. People were like, "You're back at work?" Like I kind of broke my neck, the way people say it, and hit my head at the same time. Miraculously was able to ride my bike to the hospital where they discovered where I wasn't even planning to check myself in. I just thought I'd wash myself up there and see how I felt. And then I was like, my hands are tingling. It hurts a lot. And they realized I must have a problem with my spine. And then, but who knows? I'm crazy. You shouldn't pay too much attention. But I may be enhanced somehow. I did deserve what I received, which is the most suffering I could have possibly imagined in my whole life. I explained in the last show, but I suffered in ways that made me committed, even though I was shown the destruction of the world for not continuing my bloodline, even though that happened because of the suffering I experienced in 2025, based on the lessons I was shown and directed to experience, was so great that I was committed to not continuing my bloodline because I did not want any of my offspring to ever go through what I went through in my lifetime. So it was suffering that I was shown suffering that humans don't understand because I was shown the nature of infinity and everything else, eternal life, all that stuff, having everything you want. I guess I was tempted because I was shown that I could have anything in the world that I ever wanted and realized that that's no fun. I just realized how that sucks immediately. So it has been a weird experience. Cat? Don't know. No idea. According to traditional thoughts about age and biology, it's too late. According to, common understanding about that, it's too late, which is why I got that vision, I guess, in 2023. Basically, time had expired for that to happen. However, miracles happen, and it's certainly not impossible. It's certainly not impossible right now. So it's possible. It really is possible. Because now that I understand everything, I realize that I can have a child, and as long as I'm there, that it will be okay. But I must be there to explain how to deal with these gifts, which present as mental illness. So I have had to learn by myself how to struggle through that, but we're going to live a lot longer. It's been prophesied. I'm here to tell you it's true. And it takes no divine understanding. Just look at what's going on. Because the advance of communication, because Elon Musk came in and restored free speech, at least somewhere, people can share with each other novel cures much more easily than ever before in our history. Information cannot be controlled. So information about cures that are cheap, that have been here forever, maybe that come from this earth, that will all be made. That will all become clear. All of those things. The golden age, there are no diseases. Because the Scientologists are basically right. That's why. Because we can control it with our mind. The Scientologists are correct. In the golden age, the Buddhists say lifespans extend to 80,000 years. And actually, they said when Christ come back, he reigns for 1,000 years. If he incarnates here as human, then lifespans must extend. And I believe they are, and they will rapidly, because it is prophesied that in the future there will only be 3 diseases: desire, hunger, and something else. That is what the golden age promises, that we would no longer have diseases, but one of the diseases is desire, which I've told you must eliminate all desire for anything earthly. Like Jesus said, but people didn't understand. You must eliminate all desire for earthly things because it's a disease. I guess the Buddhists knew that. So, but yeah, in the Bible, it's like, that's why it's helpful to look at, because our lifespans were shortened, so we kind of didn't learn to. I think maybe it was because we didn't learn too much, potentially, genuinely, because that's what God was most concerned about since the very beginning, is knowledge, since the very beginning. So, I mean, God prevented us from knowing, and it takes time, because even if we've been here for a long time, which I believe I have, I believe my spirit has had many, many incarnations. This is just one of them. However, when I came here like everyone, unaware, like no idea of my past, no idea what's going on, the same as everybody. And it takes time to discover how to find that connection. It takes a long time. And I guess we're going to maybe be getting those longer times. Yeah, Tetragrammaton. Well, they say the Maitreya Buddha is here, who is which would be basically Jesus, the spirit of Jesus, the world teacher. So New Age people say that spirit's been here since like the late 70s. They said it was in London. So, yeah, but I'm sure that entity will walk among us and people will know him not. So, what if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. But Tracy Twyman, and I got to run my errands. Tracy Twyman, I want that intention to go out because it's evident that I can work with spirit. I will in the future be able to reliably work with human spirit, So I'd like to, and I have the inclination to shine any light I possibly can on Isaac Cappy or Tracy Twyman, who were killed for doing the same kind of. I mean, it shows you. We've seen it. A number of people have died who've come on my show. It was kind of. It was kind of weird. It was kind of getting to the point where I was like, I wonder if people are thinking maybe they shouldn't come on my show because everyone comes on my show ends up dead. Like Isaac Cappy and John McAfee and stuff. But it kind of shows you what happens when you try to expose the darkness. When you try to expose the darkness, it will try to kill you. It will do everything it possibly can. And Tracy found out she was communicating with it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous to communicate with spirit because you don't know for sure like who you're talking to. It's very dangerous. So, but the people who can do it have figured out how to follow the law, have just learned how to follow the law in order to practice, which means they might seem like a normal person with not a lot of money or anything. I was watching this occultist last night, trying to just see what was going on with the occultist. And he was explaining, he was like, yeah, like, I don't care about money. This is how I do it. So basically they follow, it's kind of weird, but in like occultists, they kind of have to follow what Jesus said they know because of natural law, Hermetic law, the original law, Hermetic law, the original law, the law of the law of not just this universe, but the law of everything, because there is more beyond this universe. There are all the other versions of this universe, many of which I've seen. There's the multiple timelines, which science has proven. So it's not the ravings of a lunatic. Everything that can possibly happen happens. Splits off at every moment. Every possibility, every moment becomes a new timeline. I think we're either on the good one or very, very close at this moment, because I felt the timelines collapsing the other night. So we're doing a great job. We're just doing a really good job right now, whether you know it or not. But if you want some affirmation, the work we are doing here, the collective of the dawn, the Elohim that are here now and are being activated, we are appreciated. The work we're seeing, the work we're doing is recognized. That's all. So they want us to know, they see what we're doing. They know what we're doing. And they're very proud. They're very proud. So the creation is proud of you. The creation is proud of all of you that are here. And they'd like you to know that for sure. So it is a struggle. It's going to take a long time, but just know that. I did multiple shows with John McAfee. David Icke's been on. We had a great show with David Icke. That was an excellent interview. So as far as interviews go, I will do them, but I stopped asking people to come on my show when they stopped agreeing to come on, pretty much universally. So I know better than to ask anybody, especially to come on this show where there's no guarantee of people tuning in or watching it. So, but we will do interviews, and if people ask us, we'll probably accept, so. The Hampton kids. Yeah, the Hampton case, they wanted that. I was supposed to be a sacrifice. It seems like, because I was set up by one of them to cover the Hampton case by someone who reached out to me the day of the Pizzagate rally when I was traumatized by being called a pedophile from the stage by David Seaman, who then knelt down and prayed. There was someone who contacted me, pretended to be my girlfriend, was really nice. Whatever spirit was in her, it was a very nice person most of the time, but behind the scenes was scheming to figure out ways to drive me insane or eventually probably make me kill myself. It was like a carefully devised plan with an end point and everything. Where she pretended things were happening to her because of my coverage. That made then, because she was then connected to me, I thought there must be evil forces. That's what I was led to believe by this individual. And then they tried to, and so they connected me strongly to this person through deception, who then was working behind the scenes. It's not speculation. The people admitted to it. There were other people. It was a genuine gang stalking. But there was a cult, the Hampstead cult, which was working using magic to try to get me to kill myself. And it was supposed to show. It was like a scapegoat. It was a scapegoat ritual that was planned out to show people that this is what happens if you want to do this again. That was what the message was meant to be with my death, basically, most likely. Or at least mental destruction. Because it was very scary. Because I believed the thing she told me was happening to her, which never happened to her. She told me she fell off a ladder and broke her jaw. Never happened. She disappeared at a specific time when I was freaking out. But it was planned. And then through the grace of God, at the very last moment, I realized what was happening. And I was like, oh my God, this person was never cool since the beginning. Somehow through a divine miracle, I realized that at the very last second. And then I was ready because it all played out then the way I expected it to. She disappeared. I had been made so worried about her that I told her if she ever disappeared again, I was going to start driving out there. I mean, that's the level it had gotten to because of the crazy things she told me. Disappeared 3 days before I was doing something called an AMA, where people would be able to contact me. People could tell I was super distressed. The day of the AMA, I knew it was going to happen the day of the AMA. And it was right before the AMA, right before, as I predicted, she said, I never want to talk to you ever again. I was like, okay, bitch. Like, I get it. Fuck you forever, Fortunately, God intervened, or I was given a sudden insight which is it's a very difficult reality to accept for anyone who's ever been catfished. It's very difficult to change your reality in a moment. It usually takes time. And I was given the gift to be able to do that. So, but yeah, that's the kind of crazy shit that's happened to me over time, just from podcasting and trying to expose darkness over time. That's what I've been trying to do. It's okay. I've used the metaphor of the light this whole time. So keep the light on, etc. Those things. So it's nothing new. Cat, it just shows the manifestation of evil when you try to expose it. All kinds of crazy shit can happen. So, oh, that's cool. Manifestations of the light. Perfect. Yeah, Vegan Mikey, even though he may have been totally 100% accurate about the things he said on my show, Vegan Mikey, because of all the people who wanted to discredit him, and for a lot of the really unfortunate thing about Vegan Mikey and other things like that is a lot of it is driven by jealousy from people who are on your side. That's a real problematic thing. Like people who want to expose the same thing you want to expose, and you're genuinely trying to do that, those people will try to destroy you because you're getting a lot of attention. They wish it was them. And, they find something wrong with what you're doing. It's a very unfortunate part of this existence. But actually, I haven't been able to, he told me a lie, which is why I told him I couldn't talk to him anymore. But it was way overblown in the end, considering he said he was the survivor of ritual abuse from a child. People should understand that he might have a drug problem and still not be lying, just because he's a shady character. Basically, he is a shady character now because he uses drugs or whatever it is. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean that what he said was not true. But most people made such a big deal out of it because of people like Gabe Hoffman. To be honest, who specifically went after Isaac Cappy and any other people he was gatekeeping about. But in the end, he didn't admit to a sort of a ticky-tacky domestic thing that didn't sound like a really big deal. Like maybe he threw a phone that didn't hit her or something like that. I've gotten pretty bad arguments before. Some stuff has just gone flying around. It didn't sound like it was like a beating or anything like that. And again, he comes from a place that's kind of. Gabe Hoffman is a very powerful thing. I mean, he tries to control everything that happens on YouTube within this culture and environment. He tries to control all of it from behind the scenes for the most part, but sometimes not from behind the scenes. But he uses his money and influence to do that, to pick winners and losers, to basically support anyone that will stick with the proper discussion about Israel and Jewish people, and to try to destroy anyone who doesn't do that. So All right, 7:02. I've said I was going to go a while. Thanks, everybody. Mimsy said you're talking about your ex co-host. Well, I don't know what you mean by that, but I wasn't talking about anybody who used to be a co-host on the show. But thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you at the next one. Buy some Bitcoin today. Doesn't have to be much, but you should buy some Bitcoin today. If I want to ask something from you, even if you've never done it, it's very simple. Perhaps Cash App is the easiest, and it's the one I use most frequently. Cash App is very simple. You can buy $5 worth. Today is a good day to buy some, even though the price could go down a lot more, possibly in the short term. That's my advice. All right. Thanks, everybody. You guys are great. Thanks for the support. Appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words. I'll check the comments. All right. See you guys. Have a good one. For now, that's what it is.